which I think is Paul Newman in the movie version. And then a little nod to True Romance, because they mention it. Mr. Majestic is an Elmore Leonard novel with Charles Bronson is in the movie.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if I remember correctly here, at the time that Get Shorty came out, he already had about, 12 adaptations available at that time?
Yeah, he had a bunch. Like I said, he got to start writing westerns, and I think a handful of those westerns had been adapted. 310 for Yuma, obviously. Hombre is a western.
Mm-hmm.
The Tall T is an Elmore Leonard story, and I believe that was adapted. But it's Get Shorty that kind of puts him on the map with Hollywood again. And then you start to see a lot of Elmore Leonard adaptations pop up. I think Pulp Fiction, probably being a huge hit, kind of brought the Elmore Leonard focus back. Yeah, because Elmore Leonard wrote those tough talking characters, but also those random bits of humor that are in there. I think that Pulp Fiction probably had a good hand in kicking that off. But he has these adaptations. He does Get Shorty, or Hollywood makes Get Shorty at MGM, and then you have a handful of other Elmore Leonard adaptations, like right around the same time, within a few years of each other. And in my opinion, Jackie Brown, which Tarantino adapts from Rum Punch, and Out of Sight, which both come out within about two or 3 years of Get Shorty. Yeah, because Jackie Brown was 97 and Out of Sight is 1998.
Yep.
Those three movies, Get Shorty, Out of Sight, and Jackie Brown, in my opinion, are the trifecta of perfection of Elmore Leonard adaptations. All three are so fucking good.
Oh yeah, I would totally agree. I think it's hard to find anything wrong with any of these films.
He's had a couple others. Touch, which is a movie I barely remember watching. I think Skeet Ulrich could heal people, and someone is trying to exploit him. I've seen it once, and that was whenever it came out, like in the mid-90s. The Big Bounce with Morgan Freeman, and I think Owen Wilson is in that. That was kind of whatever. I wasn't huge on it.
What about... go ahead.
No, I was just going to say there is a sequel to Get Shorty.
Yeah, I was going to just ask you about that. How do you feel about Be Cool?
I'm not big on Be Cool. A big part of it was they made it PG-13. And I've never read the book, so I can't speak on how good the book is. But I'm not huge on Be Cool. It's got a great cast.
Is that
the cast is stacked?
That's the one that has it's essentially about the pop star, and it's Christina Milian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the same. That's the movie, right?
Yeah. Okay. And Uma Thurman is kind of trying to be the one that produces her. Cedric the Entertainer's in it, who's great in the movie. Andre 3000 is in it.
The Rock.
Vince Vaughn, The Rock. Yeah, it's got a good cast, but it didn't work for me because it is nowhere near as good as Get Shorty is. The fact that it was PG-13 really threw me off too.
So you think it was just the fact that they didn't go with the R rating, and do you think had too much time passed when they tried to release this? Do people even know that it's a sequel to Get Shorty?
I thought, and this was, even Be Cool came out, 15 years ago, maybe?
It was 2004?
2004 or 5, yeah, right?
Yeah, pretty sure.
Excuse me. I thought at some point in the marketing, maybe in the trailer or maybe even on the poster, it said it was a sequel to Get Shorty. But I can't be sure on that. I just remember watching it during my time as a projectionist. At least at that theater I was working at when that movie came out, and just not really caring for it. I see parts of it every now and then because I think it's kind of making the rounds on cable, as is Get Shorty again.
Yeah.
And I'll see parts of it, and it's not terrible. It never really grabbed me, and it doesn't hold a candle to Get Shorty.
Yeah, perhaps it's just was kind of fighting the inevitable, trying to be, like live up to something like Get Shorty.
Yeah, I'll have to go back and see who wrote the screenplay for it. Kind of curious, just to see who wrote that screenplay, because we'll get into Scott Frank here in a moment. It was great.
Yeah.
But so there's more of these Elmore Leonard adaptations, kind of recapping what we went over. But those three, Jackie Brown, Out of Sight, and Get Shorty, I think are perfect. Now he's been adapted for TV a few times. One was the Karen Sisko TV show, which is spun off of Out of Sight, which was fairly solid. I remember watching that. And then there was another one called Maximum Bob, which is about a judge. That's based on an Elmore Leonard novel, but I don't remember that one. His best TV adaptation, the one that I think is a perfect kind of encapsulation of Elmore Leonard type characters and Elmore Leonard type dialogue, is Justified.
Oh yeah, with
because
the TV show with Timothy Oliphant, correct?
Yeah, fantastic show, and that was spun off of I think a couple of short stories that he had written with the Raylan Gibbons U.S. Marshal character that Oliphant plays. I think they spun that TV show off of those two or three short stories. And then he actually, after Justified was a big hit, I think Elmore Leonard actually went and wrote an actual Raylan Gibbons novel, just called Raylan, I think. But that's a show that I've brought up once or twice before on the podcast, and I highly recommend Justified. And there's, like I said, there's a ton of great characters, and there's a ton of great dialogue on that show. All right, moving on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay, so we brought him up, but first choice to direct this movie was Quentin Tarantino.
Yep.
And he obviously turned it down because he was working on his own Elmore Leonard adaptation, which became Jackie Brown.
Which is the novel is called Rum Punch, correct?
The novel is Rum Punch, yeah. Yeah, good book, even better movie. But I'm biased because, as you know, Jackie Brown is my absolute favorite Quentin Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
But the MGM had approached Tarantino to direct, and probably off the strength of Pulp Fiction. Like I said, I think Pulp Fiction was a big catalyst. But he turned it down because he's working on Rum Punch. They start looking at actors to play Chili Palmer. They got Warren Beatty, Bruce Willis, De Niro, Al Pacino, Dustin Hoffman, Michael Keaton. They even offered it to John Travolta at one point, who turned it down, but it was Tarantino who convinced them to do it.
I believe Travolta himself turned it down twice.
Oh, wow, twice.
Yeah. And then I think he had words with Tarantino, who was like, obviously told him he should take the role. And I think that worked out great for Travolta because he was just coming off of Pulp Fiction, right? Yeah,
I would have to look Travolta up to see if he really did anything between Pulp Fiction and Get Shorty. That came out, I think Get Shorty came out almost exactly a year later.
Yeah.
From Pulp Fiction. So Get Shorty was probably going into production around the time that Pulp Fiction opened up to America and to American audiences.
And from... okay, go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm willing to bet that seeing, because Pulp Fiction played at Cannes, which was May. of '94, opened up in October of '94. But I believe that, given the reception that Pulp Fiction received at Cannes in 1994, that was probably where they saw Travolta and saw him being great in Pulp Fiction and kind of making a comeback, and them saying Travolta would be a good Chili Palmer.
Yeah, I feel like him making the choice to take Get Shorty too furthered the resurrection of his career. You know what I mean? Where he became relevant again.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And for what my opinion is worth, which is not much, Travolta is perfect in it, and it is by far, I think, his best post Pulp Fiction role. I think that he's fantastic. I love everything he's doing in both of the John Woo movies that come out after this.
Yeah,
he's great in those, as over the top as he is. Kind of more so in Broken Arrow than he is in Face Off.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he has to play Nick Cage in Face Off at one point, and so he gets a little nuts. But I absolutely love him in both those John Woo movies. But for what my opinion is worth, Get Shorty is his best role after Pulp Fiction. And I don't think he's been as good in any other movie since.
So to date, you think Get Shorty, besides Pulp Fiction, is his best film?
Yes.
All right.
Yes. I will gladly have a discussion with anyone who disagrees. But like I said, for what my opinion is worth, Get Shorty is his best role after Pulp Fiction, and hasn't had one as great since. But then again, I think that most of his post Battlefield Earth work has not been great. I think the Scientology movie broke him.
Uh-huh. And
beyond maybe a couple of roles where he's been pretty good in, I don't think he's going to recapture as good as he was before Battlefield Earth.
What'd you think of Phenomenon? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, Phenomenon's pretty good.
Yeah.
We'll get into that later, because that kind of plays into kind of the post Get Shorty. I just rewatched Michael.
Oh yeah,
not too long ago, because I was listening to Blank Check's podcast miniseries on Nora Ephron. So I rewatched Michael and saw a movie called Lucky Numbers that he did with Nora Ephron, which they're okay, but I don't think that they're fantastic.
That's fair.
I'm trying to think. He does the John Woo movies. We'll get into it. 1996, he's got 3 big hits, and that's Broken Arrow in the winter. He's got Phenomenon in the summer, and Michael at Christmas time, and all 3 of which were hits.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I'm trying to think. He does Face Off 97. I don't remember. Oh, he's in Primary Colors in the Civil Action in 98, both of which he's good in. And then I think he does General's Daughter in 99, and that was probably the last movie he did before Battlefield Earth. And then Battlefield Earth kind of changed everything for the worse, unfortunately. But he's been solid in some stuff past that. He's pretty good in Savages.
Yeah, he's good.
I really thought he was good in the remake of the Taking of Pelham 1, 2, 3. Oh yeah,
he was solid, definitely.
And yeah, he's good in that, in my opinion. And what was the O.J. Simpson miniseries?
Oh,
the people versus O.J. Simpson.
That was FX, right?
Yeah, on FX. He's Robert Shapiro, and he's pretty good in that miniseries. So I'll give